Hi, this is Ableton Certified Trainer Ben Murphy with another quick tutorial for Samplesound. We're going to keep looking at different drum patterns and this time explore some different genres. All of these sounds, by the way, come from the Drum&Bass Volume 2 pack from Samplesound. So this has got a slightly different style of rhythm. And by the way, I've automatically adjusted the project tempo down to 85 beats per minute for this pattern as well. So it's a bit slower. Let's break it down again, starting with the kick and snare. So this is quite different to the patterns we've looked at in the past. We don't really have the same 4 on the floor kick, for example. We do have 4 kick drums in the bar, but we have kick drums on beats 1 and 3. But instead of beats 2 and 4, those kick drums are kind of late. They're a 16th later than where you might expect them to be. And hey, that's kind of like the syncopation idea again, although in a slightly different sort of style and format. We've shifted the accent itself this time a little bit later than where you might expect to find it. So that creates an interesting sort of varied length of pulse between these kick drums, right? Then we've got our snare drums, and they're not on beats 2 and 4 like they have been in the past as part of the sort of standard foundation. They're almost working like the shakers were in the Afro House pattern. They're halfway through every beat. But because the kick drums move around, the kind of back and forth relationship between them happens in varied intervals as well. So this kind of irregular pulse, or might be referred to as a broken beat rhythm, has a really interesting kind of push and pull throughout it. It almost feels like the snares are going faster than the grid would tell you to expect them to be, right? There's 4 of them in a bar, not 2. And then the kick drums are still only doing 4 in a bar. So they're sort of like the norm. It has this really interesting relationship with speed. That's quite common in this kind of style of pattern, and something Drum&Bass really leans into is sort of playing with your expectation of how fast the song is, making it feel kind of unnaturally fast or unnaturally slow, or even both at the same time. All right, let's keep going. I'm going to add now some extra notes. So these extra notes are what a acoustic kit drummer might refer to as ghost notes. I made these sounds actually by taking the same snare drum that's used for our main snare and then simply trimming off the front of it and fading it in slightly to take away some of the punch of that sound, and then lowering the velocity so that they feel like a kind of softer strike on the same sort of snare drum sound. They're placed around some major accents like these kick drums, and they sort of lean into and out of those accents. And again, just kind of make it feel a little bit more detailed and almost a little bit more like it was played by a person. Although this is obviously very electronic sounds, a lot of Drum&Bass really does like take its inspiration from actual performances by human beings and cutting up drum break samples and all that kind of thing. So I'm trying to lean into some of that here as well. And lastly, we need some hi-hats. So those hi-hats are basically just a constant 16th pattern, but really importantly, they do have varied velocity levels. I'll take the rest of the sounds out and let's just listen to the hi-hats. You'll hear they're kind of like rising up to the same place in the grid that the snares live. So they're kind of like pushing and pulling again on those accents by the way they sort of ramp up and down in velocity, so that each one of those moments feels like a really strong pulse that's kind of been led into and out of. So here's that whole pattern together again. You can take certainly ideas from these and apply them even to other styles of music. Good luck and happy music making.